My birth chart is considered lucky. So my parents sold me to the Shen family to ward off disasters for their young master. The young master of the Shen family smiled. You really were born under a lucky star. Just with a birth chart, you can eat and drink for free, like a parasite. I blushed. I can work. Even though I was young, I knew how to sew shoe soles, make pickles, embroider, and tailor clothes. 10 years passed, and I was constantly busy. The slave broker came with the contract, saying the young master had sold me. I didn't have many belongings, so it didn't take long to pack. The steward stomped his foot anxiously. The young master was just joking. How could you be worth only 2 copper coins? If you really leave, what will we do when the young master comes back and asks? I thought for a moment, just tell him I went somewhere else to be a parasite. After all, he only saw me as a servant, so it didn't matter where I was. Ding! This novel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. Rui rushed into the kitchen while I was squatting by the stove, brewing medicine. The flames flickered, making my eyes sore. Wan. Rui rubbed his hands, his voice growing smaller. The slave broker came and said the young master sold you yesterday. The fan in my hand paused, and the medicine spilled over, scalding the scar on my thumb. It was from last year when I accidentally burned myself while brewing medicine for Shen Yuming. The contract was transferred, and the slave broker came to take me to a new household. The slave broker handed me the contract. I couldn't read, but I recognized the words Gu Wan. Sold for 2 copper coins. The medicine pot bubbled, the bitter smell wafting into my nose. Every dose of medicine Shen Yuming drank over the years. I tasted first, leaving my mouth bitter year-round. Now I didn't need to taste it, my heart was already bitter. Shen Yuming was the son of a wealthy scholar in the county. Frail and sickly from a young age, predicted not to live past 15. I was the daughter of a poor family but had a fortunate fate. For 10 taels of silver, my parents sold me to the Shen family as a child bride to ward off disasters for him. After walking 10 miles to the Shen family, I was exhausted and hungry, squatting by the stove, devouring a white steamed bun and drinking sour plum soup. I thought, no wonder wealthy families are so generous. Is it good? A young man leaned against the door, his voice soft, his face pale as paper. So handsome it was hard to look away. I nodded, happily showing my little canine teeth. He smiled. This bun is made from the finest white flour, fragrant and soft, worth 2 copper coins. You really were born under a lucky star, living off a birth chart, and even getting the title of a young lady. He curled his lips, his smile making me uncomfortable. The bun stuck in my throat, neither going down nor coming up. Aren't you happy to eat and drink well, live in a big house, and enjoy a good life? There's no job more comfortable than being a beggar, like a parasite. His voice was as soft as cotton, but his words burned like a branding iron. Not all wealthy families are generous, it turns out. Even a bun was something to fuss over. I knew my place and didn't dare to truly consider myself a young lady. But just as a tree needs its bark, a person needs dignity. Even the poor have pride. I blushed. I can work. Though young, I knew many things, sewing shoe soles, making pickles, embroidering. I had to show him I was capable. But in the eyes of a wealthy young master, these were trivial skills. Shen Yuming lived a refined life, with 3 servants attending to him. His clothes had to be scented, fruits eaten from the tenderest parts. And even at home, he had a soft sedan chair for when he was tired. I served him with utmost care. In front of the academy, he pointed at the food box, his face dark. What is this? Pickles. That day's food box contained a small dish of pickles. Back home, neighbors praised them as delicious, especially appetizing in the summer heat. I hurried to explain. The radishes and cabbages were the best, all old leaves picked, not a single worm, and the salt was fine salt. He overturned the food box, furious. You want me to eat this? Even dogs wouldn't. Pickles were beneath him, and Shen Yuming would rather starve than eat them. Though there were other dishes in the box, he fixated on the small pickles in anger. I squatted at the door, watching stray dogs share the food. Shen Yuming ate well, lived luxuriously. I served him for 9 years, fanning him in summer, adding tea in winter. Any slight breeze or night rain, I was busy non-stop. I served Shen yumming like a servant. While listening to the Shen family lady's lectures on how to serve in-laws and treat a husband as the sky, he survived past the age the Taoist predicted he wouldn't. After that, his health improved, he could study at the academy, ride horses, and even flirt with women. Last month, after recovering from a cold, he was practicing archery at the academy's back mountain. When his arrow hit the target, I heard his classmates tease. "Yumming, your little wife is almost 19, right? When will you marry? Will we get a drink?" Shen yumming was indifferent. What wife? Just a bought servant. Did she really think I'd marry a country girl? Someone nudged the questioner, flattering. "Yumming, a gentleman like you deserves a noble lady." A nearby girl overheard, glanced shyly, and smiled demurely. "Miss, it's getting late." The slave broker urged me. I looked up at Mr. and Mrs. Shen, who just glanced at me with indifference and said to leave it to the steward before walking away. I understood. Shen yumming has already lived past 15 and no longer needs me to ward off misfortune. And he is of the age to marry. I, a country girl, shouldn't take the place of his rightful wife. He should be matched with a girl of both talent and beauty. Like the county magistrate's daughter. As long as I am sensible, they won't have to be the bad guys. I put down the fan I was using to stoke the fire, wiped my hands on my coarse skirt, and asked, "What can I take with me?" Since I was sold into this, everything on me belongs to the Shen family. Except for what they don't want, I can't take anything else. When packing my bundle, I only took 3 things. A faded red veil. This was embroidered by my mother over 10 days, and she said it was to be kept as my dowry. Also, a packet of osmanthus sugar. The osmanthus was shaken down bit by bit from the roadside. And the sugar was boiled from wild yams on the mountain, so it wasn't Shen family property. Lastly, a tattered raincoat. That year, Shen yumming went to a poetry gathering on the mountain, and it suddenly rained. I carried this raincoat and ran 3 miles to find him. "Young master, put it on and you won't be cold. It'll keep you dry on the way home." He glanced at it, displeased. "It's ugly. Throw it away." He refused to wear the unsightly raincoat, only holding up the pretty oil paper umbrella, wanting to be elegant and unmatched. After returning home, he inevitably fell seriously ill again, and I stayed up for several days without sleep. There were few things, and it took no time to pack them. Wan. The steward chased after me, sweating profusely. "Don't be in such a hurry to leave." The young master must have been joking. Wait for him to return from City H and ask him clearly. There's no rush for a month or half a month. The steward racked his brains for words. "Aren't you almost 19? The government mandates that women marry at 19. The young master must be happy that your marriage is drawing near and drinking too much. Don't take it seriously." The slave broker urged from the front, and I tightened my bundle. That contract was in black and white, with a clear signature. How could it be fake? The steward stomped his foot in anxiety. What if the young master returns and asks for punishment after you leave? I thought for a moment. Just tell him I've gone to be a parasite somewhere else. Stepping over the high threshold of the Shen family. After all, he only sees me as a servant. Where isn't it the same? Shen yumming has a 2-story pleasure boat. When he's in the mood, he often drifts along the river to enjoy the scenery. Sometimes not returning home for half a month, living freely and unrestrained. At this moment, he is taking the county magistrate's daughter to City H for a tour. The pleasure boat sails on the lake, parting the duckweed, and it's the perfect autumn scenery. The girl sips her tea, comfortable and leisurely. That tea was the first new tea bought by Gu Wanwan while guarding the tea shop. Even the soft cushions prepared on the pleasure boat were sewn overnight by Gu Wanwan. Because he has always been pampered, liking to lazily lean against the window lattice. And his body shouldn't be uncomfortable. Besides, the pleasure boat is exquisite everywhere. He makes the girl happy, and he follows suit. When strolling the market after docking, he occasionally thinks of Gu Wanwan. The peddler shouts. He glances at the mountain goods and handicrafts. The peachwood hairpin's carving is clumsy. With a crooked little flower, ugly but somewhat cute. He leaves a few copper coins. I bought it. Add it to Gu Wanwan's dowry. He casually plays with it, a smile involuntarily appearing at the corner of his mouth. Rui looks on, puzzled. All the way, his young master is with the county magistrate's daughter, affectionate and loving. When buying gold hairpins and silver bracelets, agate and pearls for the county magistrate's daughter. He remembers Miss Wanwan, but buys cheap things like wooden hairpins, cattail fans, and velvet flower embroidery needles. For a moment, he can't tell if the young master likes Gu Wanwan or not. Shen Yuming's words are, "She's a coarse person, can't use good things. A little trinket is enough to make her happy for 3 days and nights." Rui hesitates for a moment, cautiously speaking. "Young master, didn't you sell Miss Wanwan to Dr. Liu?" Shen Yuming sneers, "Just playing around, and you believe it?" 3 days ago, returning to the prefecture poetry gathering. It was supposed to be a gathering of academy students and literati. Shen Yuming has excellent handwriting and was originally going to steal the spotlight. Who knew his classmate would invite Lu Yiwen? And that poor doctor even received a compliment from the prefecture governor, saying his copy prescription was vigorous and elegant, with the style of a master. It greatly embarrassed Shen Yuming. Someone joked that his handwriting was beautiful but useless, as he couldn't marry a wife, not even able to afford a maid. His playful heart rose, and he said he'd sell Gu Wanwan to him. Lu Yiwen was flattered, unable to believe it. The folding fan snapped open, and Shen Yuming still finds Lu Yiwen's reaction amusing. Look at his eyes, like he found gold. A Gu Wanwan is already a branch he can't climb in this lifetime. Can he marry Wanwan? Foolish dreams. Shen Yuming likes to see others who haven't seen the world. Foolish and laughable. I just want to see how ridiculous he looks seeing but not getting, ha ha ha. It's entirely the prank of a young master. Rui is a bit worried. Aren't you afraid Miss Wanwan really believed it and just left? Shen Yuming casually throws the wooden hairpin backward. Rui hurriedly catches it, not wanting to drop the young master's token of affection. Shen Yuming smiles arrogantly and confidently as always. She lives in my house, in a big room, eats well, and drinks well, living a good life. Decisively, leave? She won't be willing. Rui's mouth moves, not daring to refute. Shen Yuming imagines Gu Wanwan's ecstatic expression upon receiving the wooden hairpin, feeling great. Keep it well, give it to her when we return, she'll probably be overjoyed. The peddler shouts, startling a flock of water birds. Rui reminds him it's time to return. Shen Yuming is enjoying himself and not in a hurry to go home, there's still endless scenery to see. After registering the document, the slave broker took me around Clear River Alley, clutching the paper of my indenture, muttering, "With all these twists and turns, where exactly is the Liu family clinic? I can lead the way." Over the years of fetching medicine for Shen Yuming, I had become familiar with all the clinics in the city. The Liu family clinic was very small, just a storefront with one doctor. The entrance was so narrow that only one person could pass through at a time. Lu Yiwen was busy cutting herbs, and when he heard the commotion, he looked up, causing the pestle to fall onto his foot with a loud thud, making him grimace in pain. "Miss Gu?" he stammered as he stood up, knocking over half a basket of herbs with his sleeve. I hung my raincoat by the door and smiled politely at him. "Dr. Liu, I'll be in your care from now on." When the slave broker unfolded my indenture, Lu Yiwen was utterly stunned. The slave broker joked about him getting a pretty girl for 2 copper coins, winking as she stuffed the contract into his hand before swaying her hips and leaving. Lu Yiwen clumsily poured me some tea, knocking over a sieve of herbs in the process, scattering them all over the floor. For a moment, he didn't know whether to pour the tea or pick up the herbs. Actually, that day, young Master Shen was probably just joking. "Miss, you need not take it seriously." In the brief moment he scratched his head, I had already squatted down and quickly gathered the herbs. When I looked up, I found him staring blankly at me. This young doctor was indeed a bit clumsy. I pressed my lips together, recalling what Shen Yuming had said. Having one more person at home meant one more mouth to feed. And firewood, rice, oil, and salt all cost money. Even the wealthy Shen family thought this way, let alone the impoverished Liu family. I didn't expect Lu Yiwen to be happy to give me a meal. Looking at his embarrassed face, I said, "Can you at least let me stay for one night? I'll sleep in the woodshed." He was still hesitating when a sudden cry came from outside. A woman holding a feverish child rushed in, shouting for help. Lu Yuan, overwhelmed, turned to attend to them first. I sat under the old locust tree outside the clinic for the entire day. During that time, he never came out to check on me. I thought, perhaps he wanted to test my patience. When I first arrived at the Shen family, it was the same. Shen Yuming instructed the servants. Don't be too kind to her. I've seen too many who think they're phoenixes once they get a little attention. Test her patience, so she'll be obedient in the future. I took out an osmanthus candy from my pocket, popped it into my mouth. And as the sweetness spread, it wasn't so hard to endure. By the time Lu Yuan closed the clinic, it was completely dark. He came out with a lantern and seemed surprised to see me. Miss Gu, why are you still here? I licked the sweetness from my lips and smiled at him. I'm an indentured servant. I can't escape. If caught, I'd be beaten to death. His face changed instantly, looking helpless. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I've never bought a servant. He couldn't finish the sentence, as if it was extremely rude. Lu Yuan stepped aside to invite me into the house. The clinic had a front shop and a back courtyard layout. The front was the shop, and the back courtyard was the living quarters. The house was pitifully small, without even a woodshed. The only room was his bedroom. I held my bundle, surveying the kitchen. It wasn't too bad, with some tidying, it could barely accommodate one person. I carefully placed my bundle in the corner and was just squatting down. When Lu Yuan suddenly spoke, "You can't sleep here." A feeling of frustration surged in my chest, a nameless anger flaring up. A servant bought for 2 copper coins couldn't even sleep in the kitchen? But I only dared to complain in my heart. He said he had never bought a servant and didn't know the rules. But hadn't he already assumed the master-servant posture within a day? Men, once they have a servant, understand the distinction between master and servant. At that moment, I felt that Lu Yuan wasn't much different from Shen Yuming. In the past, Shen Yuming pointed to the stable, saying I was small and wouldn't take up much space, that squeezing into the stable would be fine. Later, he disliked the smell of horse urine on me and finally gave me a room. Now, where did Lu Yuan plan to point me to sleep? I'm not someone who needs pampering. If I can't sleep, I won't sleep. I responded stiffly, grabbed my bundle, and walked out of the kitchen, sitting on the steps. At worst, I'd build a straw shed tomorrow. Lu Yuan followed me out, standing awkwardly beside me for a long time before finally squeezing out a sentence. The stone steps are cold, you can sleep in my room. I widened my eyes. As soon as he said it, his face turned red, and he waved his hands in panic. No, 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 I didn't mean it like that. I mean, you can have the room, I'll sleep in the front clinic. After saying that, Lu Yuan fled back to the clinic, clumsily arranging a few benches together before lying down fully clothed. He turned his back to me, not saying a word. I gently closed the room door, the night wind slipping through the window cracks, causing the oil lamp to flicker. As it flickered, the nameless anger in my heart extinguished. All right, I can't just sleep here for free. I'll remember this debt and won't owe him. At most, I'll just do more work in the future. I woke up before dawn. I thought to myself, I should get up early to fetch water and make breakfast for Lu Yuan, to show him that I'm useful too. But when I got up in the dark, he had already left. The basket in the corner was gone, and there was a note pressed on the table. The handwriting was neat and tidy, but unfortunately, I couldn't read. I stared at it in the dim light from the window for a long time without understanding a thing. On the table lay a string of copper coins. I counted them, exactly 20 coins. I put my hands on my hips and figured it out. He wanted me to buy groceries and cook. When you take from others, you have to give back. Since I was staying here, I had to work. I was familiar with this area, knowing exactly where to find cheap and fresh meat and vegetables, and where to get aromatic soy sauce. I was very careful with the money, spending less than 10 coins for a day's meals. The meals I cooked were fragrant, and Lu Yuan would eat them without a word, quickly taking a few bites before heading out for consultations. He didn't say I could stay, nor did he tell me to leave. I was a sold maid. Even if he didn't want me, I couldn't escape. What he said about letting me stay for a night was just a temporary measure. He didn't mention it, and I pretended not to know. Days went by like this. He gathered herbs and consulted patients while I did laundry and cooked, not interfering with each other. But I secretly noted how many copper coins were used each day. How many bowls of rice and pieces of meat I ate. I didn't owe him anything. But every morning, no matter how early I got up, Lu Yuan always left before me. The water tank was full, fresh vegetables were always prepared in the pot. And copper coins were left on the table every day. I didn't use much of those coins, saving them in a small pouch, accumulating more and more. I didn't dare to spend a single one recklessly. I planned to make pickles during the day and embroider handkerchiefs at night to sell, hoping to earn enough to buy my freedom. But embroidery threads and frames cost money. So I ended up using his copper coins to set up a kit in the corner of the room. One day it rained, and there were no patients at the clinic. When Lu Yuan had some free time, he finally noticed something different and frowned, asking, "Where did you get the money to buy these?" My heart tightened. The Shen family was wealthy, and even the servants had to be frugal. He was a poor doctor, so he would definitely want to settle the accounts clearly. I hurriedly explained, "I didn't steal your money. I've kept track of the accounts." A bowl of rice was worth a certain number of copper coins, which could be offset by doing laundry for him. Eating 2 ounces of meat and vegetables could be offset by a few days of cleaning. The embroidery supplies cost a string of coins. But once I sell the embroidery, I can make up the coins, not taking yours for nothing. Lu Yuan listened, a bit stunned, and after a moment of silence, he said, "You misunderstood. This money is for you to spend, not for household use." I was taken aback. He chuckled, warmth spreading in his eyes. "Before my sister got married, I left some money for her every day. Don't girls like to buy hairpins and handkerchiefs? The money I give you, you can spend however you like, no need to return it." For me? I couldn't believe it. I left a note. Lu Yuan paused, suddenly realizing, "You can't read?" I lowered my head in embarrassment. During my 10 years with the Shen family, Shen Yuming was well-read but never taught me to read. When I used a fire stick to scribble on the ground, imitating the drafts he threw away, he would just sneer from the side. Even the young servants around him could read, but I couldn't recognize a single character. Rui had once tried to speak up for me. "Wan is smart, why doesn't the young master teach her to read?" Shen Yuming had a ready answer. "Women, once they learn to read, they know more and become demanding. Wanting more and more, becoming ambitious and disobedient. Why read?" Rui gave me an apologetic glance. Once the young master decided on something, no one could change his mind. Lu Yuan awkwardly smiled and softly asked, "Then, would you like to learn?" I looked up sharply, my eyes bright. "I would love to. Once I learned to read, at least if I were sold again, I would know for how much and to whom." Lu Yuan turned to the clinic to get writing materials, smiling, and asked, "What should we write first?" "How about your name, Gu Wan?" I nodded. We cleared the table, carefully spread out the rice paper, and added some water to the inkstone. The faint scent of medicine wafted from his sleeves as I watched his back. My heart inexplicably pounding. Lu Yuan's fingers were long and clean, unlike my rough ones. He dipped the brush in ink and wrote slowly, stroke by stroke. Gu Wan. I didn't learn well, each stroke looked like a doodle. And the last stroke spread on the paper like a patch of plaster. Crooked and ugly. But Lu Yuan lied with his eyes wide open. "It's my teaching that's not good. I'll write it again, and you can learn slowly." This young doctor didn't seem as bad as I thought. When Lu Yuan returned from gathering herbs, his shoulders were still damp with the mountain dew. He carefully took out a piece of jacquard cotton cloth from his basket. Wrapped in oil paper, untouched by the autumn rain. The orange-yellow fabric was adorned with delicate white plum blossoms. He said it was for me. When I left the Shen family, I only brought 2 sets of clothes. Both worn for many years, made of coarse cloth and patched all over, matching his rundown clinic perfectly. "This fabric must be expensive, right?" "Don't worry, it's not expensive. I have some savings, and I treated the wife of the cloth shop owner, so she gave me a discount." Lu Yuan turned around, lowering his voice shyly. It's getting colder, make yourself some clothes, don't catch a cold. My fingers gently stroked the fabric. The delicate and soft texture could make any girl reluctant to part with it. And of course, that included me. I recognized this pattern. Last month, when I went to the silk shop with Shen, I glanced at it twice and felt delighted. That moment of liking was noticed by Shen. I was just looking, not wanting it, but it didn't stop him from mocking me. You're used to being frugal and love working, wearing this would be a waste. He pointed at a piece of coarse hemp, this one, I'll give it to you. At that time, I thought, I don't love working either, I get tired too. And sometimes I want to be lazy, like the old madam sitting and fanning herself, resting in the pavilion. But when I remembered Shen cold sarcasm, are you here to enjoy life? My family doesn't support freeloaders, that lazy thought vanished. I wanted to prove to him that I wasn't a freeloader, not just eating for free. Lu Yuan not only bought the fabric but also bought balm. I quickly hid my hands behind my back, concealing the chilblains. In the Shen family over the years, washing clothes in autumn and winter always made my fingers crack. And I got used to hiding my hands in my sleeves. No one noticed, and Shen even disliked that I kept my hands clenched without working. But now, in just a few days, someone noticed. Lu Yuan took out a small porcelain box from his pocket. Opened the lid, and a faint osmanthus fragrance wafted out. Don't wash clothes for others anymore, it's cold, and your hands will hurt. I don't want to be a freeloader, ... I lowered my head, my nose suddenly sour, and said in a hoarse voice, I can work. I know. But you can also take a break occasionally. It's okay, I'm here. I looked up and saw Lu Yuan smiling gently, his eyes curved like crescent moons. It turns out, you don't have to be a wealthy lady to be cherished by someone. When I finished the last piece of osmanthus candy, the government matchmaker arrived, here to find a match for Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan was straightforward. My family is poor, I don't want to delay a girl's life, this year I'll just pay the marriage tax. The matchmaker noted the tax and turned their gaze to me, reminding, Miss Gu is almost 19, if she doesn't marry soon. As her master, you'll have to pay her marriage tax too. Lu Yuan was stunned, aren't you only 17? Almost 19. As soon as the matchmaker left, Lu Yuan started rummaging through everything. Under the bed, the bamboo tube by the stove. Even the hidden compartment in the medicine cabinet, he searched everywhere. The coins clinked on the table, I counted, not enough for 2 strings of tax money. This fool always thought I was young. Spending all his savings on buying me cotton cloth and balm. Already not enough to pay the marriage tax. If we can't pay, the matchmaker would force a marriage. Even to someone crippled or foolish, I wouldn't have a choice. Lu Yuan smiled bitterly, pretending to be relaxed. No worries, I'll just gather more herbs in the morning to sell. And during the new year, I can write couplets to make up the money. What about next year after we gather this year's? Clearly, he only needs to say he'll marry me. Or simply sell me, and it would be resolved once and for all. I have some looks, if sold to a brothel, someone would want me. Or I could be pushed to work day and night making pickles and embroidering. Working hard to sell them on the street, the money could be gathered. I squinted, no one could be this foolish. The most heartless are scholars, he must not have thought of it yet. I waited quietly. Lu Yuan started getting up even earlier, carrying a lantern to gather herbs and mountain goods. Often walking a few extra miles to the East Market to sell for a good price. He was busy but never complained. This day, he went up the mountain again. In the afternoon, dark clouds pressed down on the city, thunder rumbled. The neighbor poked her head out. This weather, last month a cow was struck by lightning on the mountain. My heart leaped into my throat. Not to mention the thunder, after entering winter. The rain on the mountain could freeze a person to death. Without thinking, I grabbed a raincoat and ran out. Lu Yuan was curled under a tree avoiding the rain. Shivering with cold, his eyes wide open when he saw me. I was furious. Are you stupid? You can't hide from the rain under a tree during a thunderstorm. This tattered raincoat came in handy. Covering 2 people, it was so small there wasn't a bit of space. We had to press tightly against each other, shoulder to shoulder, arm brushing arm. We were so close, his breath was warm on my cheek, with a hint of licorice sweetness. Heartbeats were clearly audible. Thump, thump. I didn't know if it was his or mine. Rainwater dripped down the edge of the raincoat. I glanced unintentionally. He had given most of the raincoat to me, half of his body was wet. The rain was loud. I asked softly, "Did you gather enough herbs?" "A few more days. I won't let you marry just anyone." Lu Yiwen. I suddenly looked up. "Will you marry me? It would save 2 people's tax money." He suddenly stumbled, almost taking me down with him. His whole body stiff, face red like the fire in the stove. His arm around me trembled, the warmth of his palm seeped through the clothes. He said hoarsely, "Being with me, you'll suffer. I can endure hardships. I might not even have money to buy you a wedding dress. You gave me 3 extra coins yesterday, enough to buy red candles." Lu Yiwen fell silent. After a while, Wan. The red veil my mother gave me was finally put to use. Shen Yuming spent 2 whole months touring City H. After returning from his leisurely travels, a servant brought him hot tea. He took a sip and put it down immediately, furrowing his brows. "It's too hot, and the taste is off." The new maid couldn't grasp the art of brewing tea. And no matter how she tried, she couldn't make the tea taste the way Shen Yuming liked it. During dinner, he took a bite of the food and said it was too salty. After drinking his medicine, his mouth was filled with bitterness. The butler cautiously replied, "The medicine hasn't changed, it's still brewed according to the old recipe." "What is the young master looking for?" Shen Yuming was already a bit impatient and asked about the osmanthus sugar. The butler was perplexed, and the servants attending him were equally baffled. The young master was pampered, and his mother feared he would get cavities. So there were never any children's snacks in the house. But he clearly remembered that every time he drank medicine, there was always a piece of osmanthus sugar beside it. Compared to cavities, Shen Yuming feared bitterness more. The young master was displeased, and he could find faults everywhere. The begonias at the door weren't pruned well, and they wouldn't bloom nicely next spring. The scent of the clothes in the chest was off, it was too strong and seemed vulgar. Even the parrot under the corridor didn't chirp as crisply as it used to. Everything was wrong. After being home for a day, everyone in the Shen household felt the young master was difficult to serve. Until midnight, when the night was as cool as water. Shen Yuming tossed and turned, unable to sleep well, and finally realized what was wrong. Whenever he returned home from a trip, there was always a grayish figure running out to greet him, helping him with his cloak, handing him a handkerchief, and pouring tea that was 8 parts full and 7 parts warm, just right for drinking. It turned out that today he didn't see Gu Wan. This personality, even after 10 years, was still a bit stubborn, hiding away and not seeing him. Never mind, after they get married, he'll just teach her a lesson. Shen Yuming reached under his pillow and pulled out a wooden hairpin, his lips curling into a slight smile, thinking about how Gu Wan would be so happy to see the gift he brought back. After all, he hadn't given her many gifts. "Gu Wan." He called out towards the door, not even realizing his own anticipation. But it was Rui who came in. "Bring Wan over, I brought her a gift." Rui hesitated for a while, then with a mournful face said, "Young master, you forgot, you sold Miss Wan to the Lu family, she's already gone." Grass Market 9 alleys 18 streets, Shen Yuming had never been to these low places. But today he was willing to lower himself. The carriage couldn't enter the alley. And as soon as his brocade boots touched the ground, he pulled them back. The ground was wet, with water and oil stains, unworthy of his brocade boots and white robe. "Young master, inside is the Lu family clinic." Shen Yuming opened his folding fan, covering half his face, his brows tightly furrowed, filthy. He couldn't believe that the precious medicine he took came from this dirty clinic. Rui feared he wouldn't take his medicine in the future, patiently explaining, "Young master's medicine is rare and difficult to find, only Dr. Lu can procure the best." Shen Yuming took out 2 copper coins and tossed them to Rui. "You go in and call Gu Wan out." Rui was about to go but was stopped by him, instructed, "Don't tell her I came personally to pick her up, lest she gets so excited she loses her composure." Rui looked at his young master uneasily, wanting to say something but hesitated. dawdling for a moment before entering the clinic. Shortly after, he came out crestfallen, the 2 copper coins still in hand. Young master. His eyes wandered, neck shrunk, afraid to speak. The folding fan closed. Shen Yuming stepped down from the carriage, deciding to fetch her himself. Lu Yiwen was grinding medicine. Is young master Shen here to buy medicine? Shen Yuming raised his chin, not bothering to look directly at him. Call Gu Wanwan out. Come home with me. How many days has she been bothering you here? You list the expenses for me, rice, rent, the Shen family will pay you in full. I was just joking with you, you took it seriously. Why don't you look in the mirror? Would Gu Wanwan fancy you? She's just angry with me. The next moment, his sneering was interrupted. I returned with an oil paper umbrella, shouting at the door. Husband, today the knife fish is particularly fresh. Do you want to make fish soup or braised fish? From the alley entrance, I saw the Shen family's gold-trimmed carriage and deliberately spoke loudly. Lu Yuan heard and ran out from the clinic, smiling with fine lines at the corners of his eyes. You are back. He took my umbrella, his fingers naturally brushing away the raindrops on my hair. Shen Yuming stared straight at the married woman's hairpin on my head, his voice changing tone. You got married? Married to him? The last sentence, he almost shouted. Did I approve? I bent down to pick up his fallen fan. Didn't you sell me in black and white? I'm Lu Doctor's person now, registered with the tooth shop and the government office. Why can't I marry him? Shen Yuming reached out to grab my arm. But Lu Yuan was quicker, wrapping his arm around my waist, intimate yet not offensive. Young Master Shen, this is my wife. Shen Yuming was furious and regretful, but he remained proud. Gu Wanwan, come with me now. I can go to the government office to annul your marriage contract. I'll pretend you never married, I'll still marry you as my young lady. Rui was anxious, also persuading, young lady, just go with the young master. If it were before, hearing him acknowledge me as young lady, I might have been so happy I couldn't sleep all night. I would think he considered me one of his own. But, what does young lady matter, just a change in title. For him, nothing has changed. I didn't say anything, just leaned closer into Lu Yuan's embrace. Shen Yuming's face darkened, sneering, Lu Yuan, you're just trying to haggle. He offered 200 taels to buy me. 200 taels is expensive enough, come with me. I felt a pang of sadness. I spent 10 years in the Shen family, working from dawn to dusk, and couldn't save a few copper coins all year round. Yet he remembered how much good food I ate and benefits I received following him. 200 taels, I'm afraid no matter how much work I do, how well I serve, I can't repay it. Didn't he say I was a parasite? Didn't he say country girls were worthless? I instinctively looked at Lu Yuan, nervously twisting the corner of my clothes. 200 taels, this might be money he could never earn in his lifetime. Enough to buy land, renovate the clinic, and marry 3 or 4 wives. If he wanted to sell me again, I wouldn't blame him. Lu Yuan, usually gentle and refined, this was the first time I saw him angry, scolding. Wanwan is not an object, not for sale. He rushed to the door in 2 steps. Young Master Shen, please leave, the clinic is closed today. Shen Yuming was driven away by him. I whispered, Lu Yuan, you're at a loss. He blushed at the ears, only saying, you're so good, no amount of money can replace you. The rain stopped by the evening the next day, and the sunlight made the river shimmer with gold. I carried a jar of pickles to the riverside to wash it. Following that poor physician, you're bound to suffer. A voice came from under the willow tree. I'm willing. He didn't respond, so I continued washing my pickle jar, cleaning it cup by cup until it shone brightly. Shen Yuming emerged from under the willow tree, dark circles under his eyes, and asked, why? I thought for a moment, maybe because he likes the pickles I make. Lu Yuan loves the pickles in this jar. He would specially give them to people who came to buy medicine, praising my craftsmanship to everyone he met. It turns out, besides dogs, people also love the pickles I make. Or perhaps the patchwork quilt is warmer than silk. He didn't mind that I had no dowry, shamelessly went door to door begging for patchwork fabric, and didn't care about the neighbor's mockery. He sewed a quilt with these patchwork fabric, colorful and full of heartfelt stitches. He would also brew medicine for my frostbitten hands, notice the patches on my clothes, and then spend all his savings to buy me a piece of cotton fabric, saying, "Rest if you're tired, I'm here." Back at the Shen family, when times were tough, even a bite of osmanthus sugar remained bitter. But with Lu Yiwen, every day is sweet. Maybe I'm just greedy, wanting not only food and drink but also a sincere heart. The water babbled, and I recalled my days at the Shen family. Actually, Shen Yuming wasn't particularly bad to me. He merely broke the pickles I stayed up late to make. Merely said I was climbing high branches to eat for free, merely mocked me for being too rustic to match him. These things, they didn't seem wrong. Yet it was these merely moments, like the coins I saved every year, stacking one on top of another, forming a small mountain that eventually crushed my pitiful hopes, slowly eroding the affection in my heart. And Lu Yiwen, accumulating his love and care for me. Little by little, a gentle stream filling my heart completely. Wan Wan. Shen Yuming suddenly squatted down and handed over a wooden hairpin. "I didn't know you were always so unhappy." The hairpin was extended forward, Shen Yuming's eyes filled with hope. For the first time setting aside his pride, speaking softly. "I have you in my heart, look, I bought this for you in City H. Aren't you fond of plum blossoms?" I glanced at it. It was the most common style seen on the street, and to him, it was a trivial thing. This bit of having me in his heart was insignificant. For a young master who is showered with love to love someone else, it's too difficult. I didn't take it, my hands kept moving, wringing out the cloth, slowly wiping the jar. "Of course, you didn't know. Because you never cared." Something shattered in his eyes. On the day of the winter solstice, Shen Yuming fell seriously ill. The Shen family patriarch went to the county magistrate's house to propose marriage on his behalf, and married him to the magistrate's daughter, with an elaborate wedding procession that celebrated for 3 days. The son of a gentry marrying a wealthy young lady was a perfect match. After the marriage, Shen Yuming's illness indeed improved. However, life after marriage was not as blissful as imagined. Post-marriage life was filled with daily necessities. Managing the household, educating children, and social interactions. And the responsibility of taking care of Shen Yuming fell on the new bride. He had been pampered since childhood, accustomed to having his way, and lacked empathy for others. The wealthy young lady, having been spoiled since childhood, had never served anyone before. If the tea was too hot, he would complain, and if it was too cold, he would scold. After brewing ginseng soup all night, Shen Yuming wouldn't take a sip. "Why can't you even do such a small thing right?" Unlike his Wan Wan, the wealthy young lady had never suffered such grievances, and immediately cried her way back to her parents' home. In the end, it was old Master Shen, leaning on his cane, who escorted his son to apologize and bring her back. Two equally proud people living together, appearing harmonious but emotionally distant, merely getting by. After the spring began, Lu Yiwen stopped collecting herbs. With the triennial local examination approaching, the prefect assigned him a task to serve as a medical officer at the examination hall in J City. The round trip, plus the 3-day examination, meant we wouldn't see each other for half a month. "I can earn 20 taels of silver." Lu Yiwen's eyes sparkled as he pondered earning the money to buy the adjacent land to expand my embroidery room and get me some new clothes. His thoughts were all about me. I had plans too. Then I'll go to the yamen to get a full, raise it well for the government, and earn half a string of coins each season. Together, we could surely make our lives better and better. Lu Yiwen was gone for half a month, and upon his return, he brought even bigger news. The prefect had introduced him to Lord Guo from the capital, and he had become Lord Guo's disciple. The Guo family had practiced medicine for generations, serving in the palace as imperial physicians. This meant that even without taking the imperial examinations, Lu Yiwen's entry into the Imperial Medical Academy was just a matter of time. He was like a golden phoenix flying out of our small town. As the news spread, neighbors who had been treated by Lu Yiwen, or benefited from his kindness, came to offer gifts and bid farewell. Some brought eggs, others vegetables, all small tokens of goodwill from the neighbors. Someone even called me Mrs. Lu, which made me feel both honored and surprised. Only the wife of the silk shopkeeper came with a lone note. "I'm not here to collect a debt. The shopkeeper's wife tore up the loan note in front of me, smiling. Consider this a gift for Dr. Liu. I've seen people buy rice and oil on credit, but never fabric. Dr. Liu is a man who cherishes his wife, and Mrs. Gu is truly fortunate. This fabric is rare, costing 10 taels a bolt. I initially didn't want to sell it to him on credit. Those who come for treatment are usually poor and can't afford the fees. How long would it take him to save up? But he's sincere, saying that things for his beloved can't be compromised. I stroked the dark patterns on the sleeve, secretly thinking, how could that little doctor afford such expensive fabric, and to think it was bought on credit? This fool, still wearing patched old clothes himself. If he was going to buy on credit, why not get something for himself too? At night, I sat by the bed mending clothes, while Lu Yuan was in the front medical hall piecing together a stool. The silk shopkeeper's wife came today, saying you don't need to repay the money. Lu Yuan listened, and a stool leg fell on his foot, causing him to cry out in pain. Then I'll visit tomorrow to thank her. A moment later, he peeked in, not daring to look directly. Wan, have you seen my quilt? I didn't lift my head, I washed it. The spring chill was biting, and we only had 2 quilts at home. One for him and one for me, with no extras. He stood at the door, his ears turning red with embarrassment. Then where will I sleep tonight? I lowered my eyes, made room, my fingers trembling slightly, and gently patted the edge of the bed. Aren't we husband and wife? The sound of insects chirping was all that could be heard outside the door. Lu Yuan's embrace was as gentle and restrained as he was, filled with love that had been brewing for half a spring. A month later, I set off for the capital with Lu Yuan, coinciding with the release of the local examination results. Shen Yuming, despite his extensive studies, failed to make the list, even performing worse than a 12-year-old who had just entered the academy, leaving the county magistrate and his daughter quite disappointed. But none of this concerned me anymore. Lu Yuan's extra story. Wan has said countless times, "You're so good." Whenever she says that, I feel deeply ashamed. Actually, I'm not good at all, I'm quite despicable. I've never dared to tell her that I tricked her into being with me. Wan has been coming to my family's clinic to get medicine since she was 12. The Shen family is a wealthy household, even the maids wear pearl flowers and cotton clothes. But this girl, in her simple hemp clothes, with 2 braids by her temples, is beautiful and lively. "Doctor, I'm here to buy medicine." Whether it's windy or rainy, she always runs in, her braids swinging. "The young master has been coughing badly lately, should we increase the dosage?" "The young master hasn't been sleeping well, is there any calming medicine?" "It's so bitter, can your medicine be even more bitter?" While I prepare the medicine, her fingers always tap the table rhythmically. In winter, I noticed her hands had chilblains, small cracks in the cold winter. "Doesn't she feel pain?" I took out a small porcelain bottle from under the counter. "This is for you, for your hands." She paused for a moment, showing 2 small tiger teeth, and smiled sweetly. "Dr. Liu, you really are a good person." Men and women should not touch each other, so I couldn't do much more. I often passed by the academy entrance and would see her holding a food box, waiting for young Master Shen, whether in rain, scorching sun, or snowy ground. Young Master Shen angrily knocked over the food box. "Is this for me to eat?" "Even a dog wouldn't eat it." Wan's eyes reddened, tears welled up. Even if she's unhappy, she still meticulously explains young Master Shen's health condition, carefully inspecting each medicine, taking care of him thoughtfully. At that time, I thought, how wonderful it would be if I could marry such a good girl as my wife. But young Master Shen didn't know how to cherish her. From 12 to 17, I watched as her smile slowly faded. The girl who loved to laugh became sensitive and sorrowful. I saw it and felt heartache along with her. A neighbor aunt noticed the way I looked at her and quietly reminded me. "That's the future young lady of the Shen family, is she someone you can think about?" My heart raced, and I suddenly realized I was coveting someone else's fiance. I slapped myself hard, scolding myself for being shameless. I carefully hid my feelings, only daring to sneak a glance when she came to get medicine. Until that day at the poetry gathering, young Master Shen made a joke. My handwriting was beautiful, overshadowing young Master Shen, and someone sneered. What good is beautiful handwriting if he can't even get a wife? Young Master Shen joked. I have a maid, just as poor as you, I'll sell her to you, do you dare to take her? I knew he was just joking, trying to humiliate me. I instinctively wanted to refute, but the words stopped in my throat. What if young Master Shen really dared to write a contract? What if Gu Wanwan truly believed it? What if she wanted to leave the Shen family? I gambled on a what if, hearing myself shamelessly laugh. Then thank you, young Master Shen. I never expected Gu Wanwan to really come. I deliberately left her hanging, giving her enough time to regret. If she left, I wouldn't chase after her. But she didn't leave, she stayed. I don't have as much money as young Master Shen, only a worthless heart. So, I must treat her twice as well, warming her heart little by little, making her forget young Master Shen bit by bit. So her eyes and heart are only for me. A 1 in 1,000 chance, I won the bet. On a cool summer night, Wanwan quietly sleeps in the crook of my arm. Her breathing soft and sweet. This silly girl always says I'm good. But she doesn't know, I'm the most despicable one. I used Shen Yuming's joke and 2 copper coins to deceive her out of her future. But I will spend a lifetime proving that marrying me was not a loss for her.